Hi everybody, Inonge Kabele here. Welcome to my channel, Questioning Thoughts. Please take a moment to subscribe, comment if you wish, like, hit the notification bell. Um, this time I want to talk about something that has fascinated me my whole life. Um, and for a number of reasons that I really don't feel like I need to go into, other than to say I'm really fascinated by how we're motivated, especially how we're motivated by fear and the fear of death. And so it's like there are two deaths. There are two deaths, at least in my the way I see it. So there is the ultimate death of the physical body. Maybe there are three deaths. So there is the death while we're alive. So, I'm a person, I'm living my life, and I die to people, or people die to me, right? So maybe I take on a belief that is unpopular, or I hold on to a belief that becomes unpopular. But in any case, because of my beliefs or my lifestyle, I lose a lot. And that's sort of like a death. I lose a lot in life. I might lose a whole community or communities, relationships, things like that. That's one form of death. The other form, another form of death is the death of the physical body. Um, that it's like we're just wired to be afraid of. We're wired for self preservation. I mean, even people who are suicidal will spend, days, months, years planning their own demise. But if they're caught off guard with the situation, they didn't plan their death, the survival instinct kicks in and they're fighting for their life because in that moment, there's this existential threat and they just go on instinct to preserve their life. And then the other form of death is the death, the ultimate death is the death of the body and the death of the memory, the death of the legacy. And so I'm looking at this crisis that we've been going through, and I'm very sad to say that everything that I had predicted would happen is happening. So that really, hurts my heart because, that's one of those occasions where I really would rather be wrong, and I want to be wrong in this case. But when it comes to this crisis that we're going through, we're being hit on every level of fear of death, right? So the messaging that we're given and the rhetoric is, like we should be afraid to die. Um, our reputations die, or our relationships die, or we're dead to our communities. And then there is also the fear of death from the sickness, right? Even though the thing has like a 99.94 survival rate. And then also there is that death, like the ultimate death. It's annihilation. It's death in the body, and it's death of the memory. And then also we have a lot of shame around death. Like if you look at cultures, it's like a dead body is an unclean body. We're repulsed by dead bodies. I mean, so much so that when you have like a community of, like, say, kids who go to school together and one of the children loses a parent, sometimes they're teased by other children because those children instinctively feel that if they tease the child who lost the parent, that will make them immune to losing their parent. It's like if I make that tragedy an enemy, then that tragedy is not going to come after me. I'm protecting myself. So, I mean, I really like when I look at fear, all fear, if you just trace the roots of fear, like the root of fear is the fear of annihilation, the fear of not being important anymore, the fear of being lost and forgotten, the fear of being kicked out, the fear of being maligned, the fear of being ostracized. And I see that fear. It's very plain to me because even since the very beginning of this whole thing that we're going through, I've seen people use mockery and shame and ridicule into, getting people to comply with the dictates. And anybody who goes, well, I have a feeling there's a lot more going on than what we're told. I'm going to go and investigate for myself. Then people with that mindset are ridiculed and mocked. They're called, stupid, backwards, uneducated, uncivilized, savage, all of that. And I mean, I've spoken about it before, and I know maybe I'm like sounding like a broken record, but it's like there are all these issues that I'm interested in, and they're kind of layered, right? So there's this thing and this thing and this thing, and then they layer and they, what do you call, that's, what is it? They coincide sometimes. I can't think of the word, but anyway, um, I'm just so incredibly fascinated by this, and maybe I'm one of the only ones. But I'm sharing this on my questioning thoughts. I have a feeling that somebody's going to need to hear this. So bring them some clarity and yeah, just a little bit of clarity. I mean, like, for instance, you know censorship, right? I mean, censorship is a form of shaming. Censorship is actually a form of killing somebody off, as is book burning, as is canceling somebody. But if we're to have a healthy world, if we're going to have a healthy, healthy relationships with each other, a physically healthy world, a psychologically, mentally, and spiritually healthy world, then all ideas should be allowed to exist. So if there's a bad idea that somebody or a group of people have, then, they should be able to say it, and then, it's either going to fall flat on its face or it's going to be up for debate, right? Anytime we try to suppress and hide things, they become cancerous, and then they're likely to metastasize, and often they do. There's I'm trying to think of who said there's no better disinfectant than sunlight, right? Bring things out to the light of day so that we can see. Oh my gosh, what was I talking about? So shame, ridicule, mockery, censorship, they're all fear-based ways of being. Every single one of them comes from a place of fear. And like I said, the roots of fear, the ultimate fear, is the fear of annihilation, the fear of not being important, the fear of being kicked out, the fear of, not being part of the group, the fear of loss, And so there are these three ultimate losses. It's the death of the reputation, the physical death, and then the death of the memory. And we're all contending with this. And these three deaths that we're so afraid of are being used against us. Like, for instance, the death of loss of reputation. So the messaging is that if you decline getting this experimental gene tool injected in your body, then you are a killer. And so nobody wants to be thought of as a killer or a selfish person or an ignorant person or as somebody who doesn't believe in science, So many people, like, very openly say, like, that's the reason. Like, I'm getting this thing because I'm afraid of being perceived as somebody who doesn't care. And that is, I'm willing to take the risk, and I'm willing for my children to take the risk over an idea, over a perception, over a belief. But all anybody really needs to do is just listen to the scientists, read the medical, journals, read the scientific journals, watch the scientists. They're traveling around the world doing symposia talking about this new technology and how it's here to stay, to replace the medicine that we have right now and all of the amazing possibilities of this new technology. So every one of you who's complied with taking this thing into your body, everybody who's complied, each one of you has played your part in bringing this new technology to humanity and solidifying it a little bit more. Now, this technology has been around for a couple of decades at least. So it's like, yeah, it's been around. But when I say new, I'm saying in the sense of how it's being used and how it's being mainstreamed and mainlined and everything like that. And how this whole crisis is being used to give us an appetite for this technology. So, what are the possibilities? Not only the possibilities, but what are they doing already with this technology? In China, for instance, they've humanized pigs so that the pigs can grow human organs. They're using this technology to grow human organs outside of the human body, replacement organs. This technology, this, Cas9 and Cas13 technology, these technologies, this is what scientists are saying. They'll enable, them to edit gene sequences within a human being. So this is for, to cure cancer. It's like personalized gene-based medicine to cure cancer, to cure Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, Hodgkin's disease, sickle cell anemia, all sorts of genetic disorders. They're saying that they're going to cure, type 1 and type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and like you name it, we're going to cure it. Not only that, but this new technology that currently they're experimenting with the whole world, or at least in the United States, half of the people have complied to this experiment. This technology, like, think about it, the ability to create designer babies, right? So I was talking to a friend today and I was like, just you wait and see, in the next 20 years, the whole world will be white, tall, and blonde. That's a joke. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's like, it's in the line of eugenics. Like, we are going to upgrade the human genome. Right. We're going to, so like even China, the military is creating super soldiers. They're finding these gene sequences in other animals. Chimeric research is legal in the United States now under this administration. So it's like, hey, there are these deep sea creatures that glow in the dark, and they've been doing this already, but let's put the gene sequences that these creatures have into human beings, so human beings can grow in the dark and see in the dark and have super sonic hearing and super strength and super intelligence. Every one of you who didn't do your research, who was too afraid, who was too spooked, you were so afraid of maybe having the smidgen of a possibility of being called a backwards person who didn't believe in science. You were so afraid, and you just listened to the talking heads, that you didn't do your own research. I'm not telling you to listen to politicians. I'm not telling you to listen to doctors and scientists and nurses that are trying to get the truth out. I'm just listen to the scientists who are developing this technology. That's all you have to listen to, right? Listen, read, learn. So everybody, you voted with your bodies. You voted with your bodies. You voted with your immune systems. You voted with your futures. You voted your children. You voted for this chimeric technology to be part of the designs that these scientists and the people who fund them have on humanity. Astronomical. They're talking about, just do the research. They're talking about the ability of human beings to, hold our breaths longer and have these incredible lungs and these incredible capacities to regrow limbs, to live indefinitely, to age backwards, right? So I was talking to a friend and I was like, think about what Michael Jackson did to himself and how he transformed his appearance. He did that through surgery. So this new gene technology will enable people to do that just through gene editing, you know? And I know it's like, believe me, you don't have to believe me. Just listen to what the scientists are saying. So not only is there's this biotech revolution that we're going through. There's the gene editing, but then on top of that, there are all of these other methods that they're developing. So it's like a hodgepodge and they're all in competition with each other to develop these technologies. So it's not just gene editing, like I said, but it's using growing things from stem cells and doing surgeries and creating things in the lab. And like I said, also it's like hybrid research. So so for me, it's a red flag whenever I perceive mockery. I mean, it's like all in the realm of so there's fear and there's love, right? So anything that's fear-based, whenever the rhetoric is fear-based, that's a red flag for me. You know, whenever the rhetoric is those people over there, all of them are stupid, backwards, uncivilized, savage, slow morons. Red flag for me. Something is being hidden. And it's really interesting because the people who use shaming language to kind of create the parameters of the world, or the parameters of who's good and who's bad, who's worthy and who's unworthy, their shame runs them. It's like a friend of mine, to this day, I think about this phrase every day. He said, every accusation a confession. So we speak whatever is within us. If we're run by shame, then we, I guess, assume unconsciously that everybody else is run by shame. So like me, if I'm run by shame, shame worked on me, it should work on everybody else. And I'm not really thinking about oh my God, what is shame? What is shame? I mean, I think shame, it's, of course, it wouldn't exist if it didn't have a reason. So there are things that we feel ashamed of that, it's just natural and normal to feel ashamed of certain things. But I'm talking about the other shame that's not, it doesn't bubble up from within, but it's something from the outside, oh, you tell your child, don't play with those kids, because it's a shameful thing to play with those kids because, they're beneath us. They're not our social status. You don't want to be seen playing with those kids. What do you think people will think of us and our family? We have a reputation to keep, going back to the fear of death of reputation. So anyway, I feel like I'm beginning to ramble. I'm going to leave it here. And, I'd love your thoughts. The three fears, the three deaths. We're being run by them. All right. Till next time, thank you for hanging in with me.